The most frequently asked question I get from new photographers is, how do I book clients? If I had $1 for every time I got asked this, I'd be retired by now. If you're a new photographer or you're in your first year of trying to go full time, this is the only video you're going to need to watch on how to get clients, because I'm gonna give it to you straight and tell you about the reality of actually booking clients. The first thing I wanna say is this: there's no secret strategy that you're missing here. Booking clients requires you to work hard at your craft, at your marketing, at putting yourself out there. It requires you to trial different things, and it also requires you to have a long-term mindset. Give yourself at least 1 to 2 years of going all in on your business. And I emphasize the phrase all in because being 110% committed to this journey is what is going to see you book clients more quickly. You've got to go ham on your business if you expect to see consistent results. And it's very possible. There is so much opportunity out there. And at the beginning, it really comes down to how badly do you want it? So let's talk about some key practical things that are going to help you book your first photography clients. Now, before we get stuck in, if you are someone asking, how do I book clients? Then I recommend hopping into my free email course, Book Your First Photography Client. In this free course, you're gonna learn the business foundations you need to have in place if you want to be taken seriously as a product photographer. This is not a hobby. If you wanna actually get paid, how to build a portfolio that gets attention from brands. 2 things that you're gonna wanna pay attention to if you want to see faster growth in your business, as well as how to get visible when starting your business. The training is so potent, and I know you'll walk away with actionable steps and clarity so you can start attracting paid work. Now, the first and most obvious part of booking clients is the quality of your work. I want you to think of your work as a shop front. And the brands you walk past are either gonna be like, oh, I like that. I could try that photo on for my brand. Or they're gonna think, nah, this is not my vibe, and continue to walk past. You are not here to capture every brand's attention. Now, I just wanna give you a real basic example of this, of how easy it can be. The other day, my partner Alistair was showing me the Instagram account of these new drinks he just bought. They're like these nootropic, non-alcoholic drinks. The branding is super nice, and we were both like, oh, that could be like a fun brand to make content for. So while I have his phone in my hand, I just followed them from his account. And guess what happened a day later? A little DM pops up in his inbox saying they love his content and would love to open a conversation. And all I did was hit that follow button. This is what I mean by your work is your shop front. Obviously, they checked out his Instagram page, saw something they liked, and decided to walk in the store. Now, I'm sure we all wish that's how every inquiry would go, but it's just one example of how freaking easy it can be to get someone to walk into your store when you have the right portfolio. Because your portfolio is your shop front, and it should be extremely strategic. I actually made a whole video on this, which I'll link here, so ensure you go watch that after this if you want to know how to build a strategic portfolio. Now, when it comes to the quality of your work, I want you to ask yourself these things. Is my work actually good enough to call in consistent work? Does my work look unique? Or do I look like a replica of everyone else? Are my photos interesting? Remember, as a product photographer, you're here to create photos that are going to sell products. You're not just creating pretty photos that are just filler posts for social media. The quality of your work is going to be one of the major reasons why people hire you. And when it comes to photography, there are so many educational resources that will help you really level up the quality of your work in a very short amount of time. There are so many amazing channels on YouTube to watch, online courses, and I have seen this happen with my students. The ones who go all in on their business are willing to invest in themselves, and they put the time and effort into their craft. Things happen really quickly for them. You can literally fast track your entire career by investing in the right resources. And yeah, this means spending some money, and I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. Photography is not the cheapest career to get into, but it's incredibly exciting and rewarding. Overall, at the beginning stages, I would be trying to determine what you enjoy shooting. For example, if you really want to work with food and beverage brands, your portfolio should be made up of food and beverage photography of your best work. Get behind your camera, experiment, and shoot as much as you possibly can. As one of my photographer friends, Carly, says, time on tools is one of the most important things you can do in order to improve your work. Now, the other thing I'll mention here too is to really focus on your lighting and your editing. Every time my work has leveled up, it's been either because of my lighting or my Photoshop work. Those are the two things I believe that will drastically help improve your work when it comes to learning how to work with light and editing your photos for that high key look. When it comes to lighting, just honestly go straight for a strobe light. I know beginner photographers feel intimidated by strobes, but they're really not hard to operate. Strobe lights are more powerful than continuous lights, and they're going to allow you to produce a better result. When I switched to strobe lighting, I saw an immediate improvement in my work, and I was like, why did I not do this earlier? Lighting is one of my favorite things to experiment with, and lighting will make or break your photo. The same thing happened when I learned Photoshop. The quality of my work leveled up so much when I learned new editing skills to make my photos look better. And also, fun fact about becoming a brand photographer, you get to learn from some other incredible industry professionals inside the course who teach you their Photoshop editing workflow. Even I've been able to pick up some new editing skills watching their tutorials. A lot of you probably know Annie. She has 2 amazing tutorials inside the course where she shows you how to edit these 2 photos from start to finish. And my beautiful friend Shay Marcoux, who is a senior retoucher, she's worked with brands like Nike, Adidas, Starbucks, and so many more. You will not learn what she teaches anywhere else. Like, she is a wealth of knowledge. So that's a link below if you'd like to check that out. And the other thing I'll mention when it comes to improving the quality of your work is using your styling to tell a story. I always like to start with minimal props. That's just my style, especially in my niche of beauty and skincare. A lot of the time, less is more. So that more focus is on the product. So when you're styling your scene, really think about how can you tell a story with your image? What are you trying to communicate with your image? And what is the purpose of this image? Is the purpose to show texture, the packaging? Is it to promote a certain holiday like Christmas? How do you want the customer to feel when they see the image? Do you want the image to feel fun, dark and moody, light and airy? Like I said before, you're here to create images that sell, not just images that sit there and look pretty. Okay, let's say you've got some nice photos in your portfolio. The other key part to booking clients is visibility. You have to let people know you exist if they're actually going to hire you. So how do we go about making ourselves visible? The first thing I want you to think about is this. Where do my ideal clients hang out? A lot of new photographers ask me, Amanda, where do I find clients? Go where your clients are. Majority of brands are on Instagram and TikTok. So I would be mastering one of those 2 platforms to start with. Social media is the easiest way to get visible. So choose a platform and be consistent with it. Now, I really want to emphasize the word consistent. Just because you've posted a few times a week for a couple of months doesn't mean the clients are going to be rolling in for you. You have to know how to be consistent even when you don't see results. This is what being consistent means. Showing up even when you don't have evidence of it working. And this is why building resilience as a business owner will be one of the most powerful things you can do, because when you show up day in and day out, those daily actions compound over time to bring in those massive results. Your efforts will pay off. So my best advice to you here, keep going even if you don't see things happening straight away. Keep showing up. This is key. Now, in terms of social media strategy, look, in today's current landscape, so I'm filming this May 2024, I'd 100% be focusing on Instagram Reels if I wanted reach. And when it comes to the kind of content, here's what I'd probably be creating. BTS content, especially if you have any special hacks, tips, tricks, people just love this and eat this up. I'd also be creating content that creates connection and trust. One of the fastest ways to build trust with your audience is to show your face. You are in a service-based industry. People want to work with people. My very first Instagram post was a photo of my face. I focused heavily on building relationships and allowing people to know the real me has been one of the most powerful things I've done for my business. We are in the era of the personal brand. You could create reels on your pre-production process, a day in the life, licensing, how you approach pricing your projects, the types of services you offer, case studies. There are so many things you can talk about that isn't BTS content. Now, I'll quickly mention the one trap that I see a lot of photographers find themselves in. They end up speaking to other photographers in their content because those are the people who are commenting on and validating your content. But photographers don't pay your bills. Sure, have a few posts here and there that help you build community. This is important. But ensure the majority of your posts are actually speaking to your ideal client who are product-based businesses. This is where your content will actually work for you. I've had quite a few students come to me and say, Amanda, I'm posting consistently, but I'm still not getting consistent work. And I look at their content and most of their content is geared towards other photographers. So if you want to attract product-based businesses, talk to product-based businesses in your content. And no, they probably won't comment on your post. They don't have time for that. But they're like Big Brother. They're watching silently. So go into creating your content with this in mind, that product-based businesses are watching you every day. So think about it. What do you want them to know? Another powerful resource when you're starting out can be Facebook groups. And this is how I actually got my first paying clients. I did a number of free collabs. Now, you could also just reach out to brands directly that you'd love to work with and ask if they'd be open for a collaboration. That's another route you can take. But when I posted on these Facebook groups, I had so many brands reach out to me, and all these collabs gave me heaps of real world experience working with clients and navigating the client relationship. Out of those free collabs, that's how I got my first paid clients. And I started building momentum from there. I am an advocate of working for free when the time is right, especially when you're trying to build your portfolio. This can be an amazing way to get your foot in the door with some brands. It won't always lead to paid work, but it also might. So when it comes to visibility, we have social media, and then we have good old pitching. Now, there are people out there who are completely fine with sending out 100 pitches a month and going ham on that. That becomes their main focus. And out of those 100 or so pitches, they get a couple of yeses and they've got new work. Whereas others prefer to pitch to less people, but maybe they're making their pitches a little bit more personalized, or they simply just don't have time to reach out to over 100 new brands each month. There's no right or wrong here. It's really what works for you. But know that there is success in both approaches. I've personally never been someone to send out hundreds of pitches. I did a little at the beginning. I sometimes still do if there's a brand I would love to work with, but I focus majority of my efforts on social media. When it comes to pitching, I prefer to build some sort of connection with the brand first, as opposed to just seeing a brand on Instagram and reaching out to them straight away before I've even interacted with them. Because when it comes to pitching, your goal is actually not to book them as a client via the first email. It's to open a conversation. It's like dating. Would you get into a relationship with someone immediately after the first date? Probably not. You'd want to get to know them more, build more trust, and see if they're the right fit. I believe it's the same with business. And this is my business philosophy. Building relationships builds business. And going into your pitching with the idea that it's just to open a conversation, this also helps to just take a bit of the pressure off because you're not attached, which as a result helps you manage your emotions when you get a no or you just get ghosted. I can only imagine how many pitches brands must get on a monthly basis, especially with the rise of UGC. So it's important to really personalize and customize your pitches to help you stand out amongst the crowd. Now, continuing on from my philosophy of building relationships builds business, I want you to think about who is in your network. When it comes to connecting with people on social media, this doesn't just have to be product-based businesses. In my first year of going full-time, I landed my dream project working for the Crowne Plaza Hotel in Melbourne. They flew me down for 3 nights and I got to shoot content for them. Now, I landed that gig because I'd made friends with a lady on Instagram who was consulting with them on their marketing at the time. She recommended me for the project and I landed my dream client. So when it comes to your network, build relationships with other industry professionals whose clients are product-based business owners. These include marketing agencies, social media managers, digital marketing managers. If they like you and they like your work, they'll recommend you for jobs. So many inquiries we receive actually come from other people who recommend us. So it's important to build your network with other industry professionals because you never know who someone knows. Now, last but not least, the other thing I believe you should work on is your brand. Your branding is not just your color palette or your logo. Branding is your reputation. It's how you leave people feeling when they've interacted with you. It's your story about why you do what you do, your purpose, your mission. It's how you build trust with your audience. So the first question I'd be asking yourself is, am I communicating these things when it comes to my business? Am I communicating my brand? And the photographers who are focusing on branding are the ones who are going to be around for a long time. I believe branding is the secret sauce. No one is you. When it comes to your work, people can easily copy you or create work that looks very similar, but no one can copy your brand. And this is the power of the personal brand. And this will be a massive competitive advantage if you focus on building a brand and not just a business. People become invested in people. People like to work with people they like. And this is why you shouldn't just hide behind your business. I'm not saying you have to go out there and share everything about your life. Share what you want to share and what you're comfortable with. But please share more than just your photos, because your brand is what's going to differentiate you from everyone else. Now, this wouldn't be a video from me if I didn't touch on anything related to mindset. The number one thing that holds people back from doing everything that I just said is confidence and self-belief. A lot of photographers say to me that they want to reach out to brands, but they don't have the courage to do so. They don't feel good enough. I could literally give you a blueprint for pitching to a brand. I could give you the exact template on what to say. But if you don't have the courage to actually do the action, well, then it's just not going to happen. And so now you're back at square one thinking, oh, how do I book clients? I believe people actually know how to book clients. The practical strategies are fairly simple, as I've just explained. Of course, there's a bit more to the sales and marketing side of things. But if you don't have the confidence to show up on social media, you don't want to take time to properly sit down and create marketing and sales content. You don't want to put in the time to network with people. That's not a strategy problem. That's a self-belief and confidence problem. You have to be all in on your business. You can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out and expect to see these big, exciting results in your business. It's not how it works. And that's a whole other conversation. If you'd like me to make a video on this, let me know in the comments. Overall, there's not one strategy that is going to magically bring in clients. It's the combination of multiple things over time. You have to stay committed. You have to be disciplined. You have to keep trying, even when you don't see things working. And every day that you show up and you take action, those habits will compound over time and eventually bring about the results you want to see in your business. This is the reality of booking clients. If you enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments. Let's have a chat. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.